Let's do this and let's talk about the first ever AEW Rampage. I am Tom with the Spanish Announce Table. Thank you so much for joining us. And what a night! This was the first ever episode, as I mentioned, of AEW Rampage in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Britsburg for those Britt Baker fans. And this was a ton of fun. I liked everything about this. This was the perfect first episode to do for Rampage. Now, before we get into the matches, let's talk a little bit about some of the dressing of what Rampage had. So I like that Dasha is the ring announcer. I thought that was a good change up because you have to have a different voice for each show for Dynamite and now Rampage. So that was a plus. Did enjoy that. Also enjoyed, well, I didn't enjoy the four-man booth, but I did enjoy that it wasn't Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross also on this show. I like that Excalibur is the main person here that's calling the action. Now, the four-man booth was just too much. And I think towards the middle of the show, you got a little bit of an understanding that they also felt that way because Mark Henry then went to a backstage reporter instead of calling the action. I think that was the right call. I will say maybe not Chris Jericho on commentary each and every week. I think he's good for the once a quarter, the once every so often kind of events, those special events that are named after something, Fight for the Fallen, things like that. But each and every week, him and Taz, I kind of feel like are saying the same thing. Now, obviously, they'll say it differently, but they're both heels. So what are we saying that's different than the other guy, right? I would actually think that a female voice would be great on Friday night. Maybe Veda Scott, or you get someone that's on the women's roster right now that wants to maybe transition to commentary. Let's get a female voice in here. I think that would be really great for AEW. But with all that being said, I like the presentation. Now let's get to the matches. The first match of the night for the Impact World Championship. You had the champion at the time, Kenny Omega, taking on Christian Cage. And this was great. This had a big fight feel. I think the fans were excited because this was going to be the first match. And I also think that with that first match, it being a title match, now it wasn't an AEW championship title match, but it was still a title match. I think that added to it. And the crowd ate it up. Christian and Kenny Omega played their parts perfectly. The match had that good start that has that, formula for the big match fight feel to it. So they did well. They didn't rush it into anything. There wasn't a lot of chain wrestling to get you hooked because you were already hooked. So they did really well. I will say, though, towards the end, I think that could have been a little bit faster for Don Callis to continually interrupt and have the ref's attention. I thought maybe the Young Bucks could have came in, slid the chair in a little bit quicker to then get to the spot, because it kind of made me I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief, but I felt like I did it a little bit too long. Like I started to realize what we were doing because it took so long to get to the moment. But nonetheless, Christian Cage hits his finisher, putting Kenny Omega's head through the chair. And now we have a new Impact World Champion. And I like this. I like the history that Christian Cage has with Impact Wrestling, formerly TNA. Now, he never actually held the TNA championship. He was the NWA world champion when he was there. But still, it's, semantics. He was the TNA champion while he was there, even though it was the NWA championship. And I like that he can go now over to Impact and give some good high quality matches to some guys over there that may need it. A Moose, for example, would be a great matchup for Christian Cage over in Impact Wrestling. So I like this move that Christian Cage is going to be the champ. I still think, here's my hot take of the night. I still think we are not getting Christian Cage at All Out versus Kenny Omega. I know what all the dirt sheets are saying. I'm seeing it through my Twitter timeline and all that things. But I think that we are going to get Hangman Adam Page by hook or by crook. I still feel like what will happen here is you're going to get Christian Cage gets a beat down from the Super Elite and can't make it to All Out. Kenny Omega shows up. Everyone's kind of thinking maybe this is CM Punk. And then we get the swerve of, oh, no, no, no. It's the greatest rival for Kenny Omega. It's Hangman Adam Page. I hope he comes in on a fucking horse too, if that's the case. Oh, that would just be chef's kiss if we did that. But nonetheless, for tonight, Christian Cage is our Impact World Heavyweight Champion and new Kenny Omega losing his first match in what felt like forever on AEW television. So we'll see what happens with the fallout of that. Again, I expect hell to be paid for Christian Cage and the Jungle Express. Now, another caveat that I liked about this whole story is if you caught backstage when Mark Henry was fumbling his words just to get the interview going with Christian Cage. Behind Jurassic Express and Christian was Orange Cassidy just hanging out, just being an observer, taking it all in. Now, maybe that's foreshadowing. I don't know. But if you were to tell me 6 months from now that Orange Cassidy is your Impact Pro Wrestling champion or your Impact Heavyweight champion, I'm not hating that, right? That's going to be some fun. That is a hot commodity for AEW. So for them to let him go over to Impact would be pretty big move in my book. But I wouldn't hate it. I think that would be fun. Again, make me miss you. Go over to some spots that I may not be seeing you, and then come back, and then oh shit, you're still doing some fun stuff. So we'll see. Maybe that was some foreshadowing. Orange Cassidy versus Christian Cage for the Impact Championship down the road. Now, as we come back from break, we get into the TNT Championship match. Miro taking on Fuego del Sol. If Fuego gets the victory, he gets the contract. And he came out like Sonic the Hedgehog, level 1, beginner's level, where you're just running through all the things and going through the flippy stuff and getting all the gold coins. He just took everything he could to Miro and damn near won via count out. That was pretty good. I thought maybe that's how they're going to pull the trigger to then get the rematch, and then that's where Miro kills Fuego. But Miro gets in at 9 and then says, "Hey, what are we doing here? We know who I am. We know who you are. I'm going to squash you." Right? And he does. And that's what should happen. And that was good. And even being the heel that he was, he rips up the contract and we go to commercial. Thought that was great. We're hitting home runs again here on Rampage for this first episode. Then we come back. I'm not the biggest fan, I'll say this, of Tony Khan just kind of, hey, I'm Tony Khan. I can make contracts. Obviously, we know that, right? But I think that would have just been better if Sammy Guevara walks out, says, I have a contract from Tony Khan or AEW management. We could have done that a little bit better. It felt a little awkward that Tony Khan's hugging Sammy Guevara before Sammy Guevara makes his way to the ring. Now, I will say that seemed like a legit shoot moment because Fuego was crying like he just won the Powerball getting this contract, and Sammy Guevara looked like he had his heart grew 3 sizes, giving him the hug. So I love that. Now, again, if we want to have some fun here, Sammy Guevara turning on Fuego, saying, I gave you the chance and you didn't appreciate it. That would be fun, right? We got some fun things to do here. And with AEW's creativity, I definitely think they could do it. So again, good moment. Was really happy with what we saw there. Then we get into the main event. Pittsburgh's own, Britsburg as it is, Britt Baker, the AEW Women's Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Red Velvet. I really like the pre-match interview style. Kind of felt like what you see in UFC or other big boxing matches where before they make it to the ring, you hear from them one last time. Mark Henry, again, he tried his best. And hey, it's his first time. I'm not going to say get him off television. He has some room for improvement. I think we all understood that, especially as you saw him move away from commentary pretty quickly. But I liked what they did with Britt Baker and Red Velvet, giving those last verbal jabs in before they actually jab at each other's face. So we get them into the ring. Red Velvet does well. Britt Baker's doing well. I don't think this is going to be known as a 5-star match or the instant classic for the first main event of Rampage, but everything that they did very well. Britt Baker, I thought, had a really creative way of, hey, I can't put the lockjaw on you with my broken wrist, so let me switch over and do it with the other hand. And here you go. Give a little how's your mother and get you a tap out and get the victory. Now, post match, Britt Baker kicking Red Velvet's ass because let's not forget, even though she's in her hometown and we got all the yellow flags and we're flying them around like lunatics, she's a heel. So what does she do? She beats her up more, as she should. She's a dastardly heel. That's what heels do. I did like, though, that Chris Statlander was like, no, 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 no. I'm an alien. I don't like this. This is not what humans do, and I'm not allowing it. So she comes in there, and then she takes out Britt Baker, and we think, oh, okay, maybe at the end of this episode, Chris Statlander is going to be standing victorious, and that's the next feud for Britt Baker, which I do think is going to happen. But we got a returning Jamie Hayter. Now, complete honesty, not familiar with her. I thought for the end of a Rampage, again, your debut episode, we all know something next week is going to happen. Could be a CM Punk, right? Well, I don't know. That's the rumors. And so, with those kind of expectations, if you're going to do these debuts to end an episode, they got to be top shelf. And no disrespect at all to Jamie Hayter. She could be great. She could be a household name in a drop of a hat, but she isn't today. And so, to end on that, a little underwhelming. Britt Baker holding the title, giving us the DMD. Thought that was great. That was the lasting image that I think we'll have when we look back on this debut episode is Britt Baker with the Women's Championship, DMD. So that's all good. But the new backup from Jamie Hayter, I don't know. Maybe make that a different moment, right? Maybe put that in the match. And then what does that mean for Reba, whoever we're calling her, right? And maybe she goes back to Reba because Britt Baker sees her as lesser than. I don't know. We have some fun stories to tell, but it was great. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below. I won't gas bag for too much longer, but I wanted to make sure that we had some type of documentation for this first ever episode of AEW Rampage. I expect to do this next week because, again, it's Chicago. We are leaning heavy into the implied debut of CM Punk. Right? Let's all not act like we don't know what we're trying to say with the best in the world from Darby Allin and Chicago and the biggest event of the year, blah, 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 blah. I'm excited. We still got Dynamite next Wednesday, right? How much fun is this? I love it. AEW, you guys are just killing it. I can't applaud you enough. The highest compliment I can give you as a promotion, because I know you're watching, thanks for watching, is that I keep looking forward to the next programming that you put on television. So I'm excited for Wednesday night's Dynamite. I'm excited for next Friday's second episode of Rampage. As I mentioned, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Use hashtag tweet the table if you're on Twitter. We will definitely read those on the next proper podcast episode. And I'm going to end this for now. Thank you again so much for joining me here, and I will talk to you soon.